Hey everyone, we're going to get started in probably about 5 after or so. So grab a drink, get a glass of water, use a restroom. I'll post some links in the chat for the agenda and for the minutes soon.
Hi, Tim. It's nice seeing you in person.
Yes, it was indeed. Hello, Joyce.
Hi, Joyce. We missed you Saturday. Joyce, you're on mute if you're trying to talk. You're on mute.
Oh, what happened Saturday?
Big dog park event.
Oh, I couldn't go to that.
Why?
Dog.
Tim doesn't either. It was a social COVID friendly.
Okay,
Well, Matthew didn't have a dog.
Yeah, Matthew doesn't have a dog either.
I'd love to have a dog. No, I didn't.
My dog is barking right now. Jack is very strange. He has to bark at his food. So you have to yell at him to eat his food. And
Unbelievable.
he barks just at his food. It's so weird.
A bit of an eccentric then.
He takes his treats and he like throws them, and then you have to pick it up and put it back. Yeah, and then he throws it again. And then like when me and my parents started together, we're like, just eat it. Like I call him anorexic. He like hardly eats.
Terrible. Most dogs
Good
don't even
evening.
taste their food.
Oh yeah, you can leave a plate of food and on the couch and he won't touch it.
Wow, unusual.
Yeah, that is unusual. for a dog.
Hi Jason, you're on mute. You're on mute.
There it is. Hi, everybody.
Hi Jason.
Hey Jason, we're going to get started at
Jason.
7:05 and we're going to start with you and then we're going to move to Net.
Okay, good, because I'm being put back to work. I think you know
Perfect.
some of the here. Hold on a second. There's Leader Book,
Hi,
Senator
leader.
Book. There's everyone's boss, Maggie,
Yes.
Hi
yes.
Maggie.
and Claire Van Susteren. Good Democrats, all of
Hello,
them.
everybody.
But I have Appropriations Committee tomorrow on the special session bill, so I'm going to say hello. And if the maps hold, I am your former state senator.
Yes, and we were very sad
From the
to hear that.
38th or for like ever?
No, for Miami Beach.
Oh, I know.
Dry your eyes. Dry your eyes. Dry your eyes.
We will still
You gonna
have
run
you.
for
It could be
Are you gonna
honorary.
run for governor?
I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna walk briskly because we have 4 years, I think. So
You could run for president.
no, I was born in New Jersey, and they don't consider that the United States anymore. So I'm not really allowed.
What?
I'm not
I
allowed
don't think
to.
I don't think Miami's considered the United States.
No, they're slowly sawing it off like a Tom and Jerry or Bugs Bunny cartoon.
That's only the Philly half of New Jersey that isn't really the U.S. The New York half is still good.
Like what? Cherry Hill?
Cherry, don't make fun of Cherry Hill. Cherry Hill's a nice place.
No, I did crew for 7 years in middle school and high school.
Where?
Poughkeepsie on the Hudson River, and then we would go to Cherry Hill for New Jersey state champion, and then the
Yeah.
Schuylkill for Philadelphia. Yeah, I did UPenn.
Which is one of the more difficult words to spell.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It's
but
like SCHUKYLL or something. Yeah.
but yeah, like yeah, I did cruise. I was a coxswain, believe it or not. Oh yeah, loudmouth Amanda. for the boys. For the boys.
But you're
team.
6'5", 210. I don't understand how you were the coxswain.
Yeah, try 5'2". They told me, oh, your legs are too short. So
Get the
but
front
yeah.
Amanda, are you in a cave? You're very dark.
Oh no, I'm on my balcony. It's beautiful out.
It is
It
gorgeous.
is a beautiful evening.
All right, folks, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go and put us on mute. I'm going to put everybody on mute. We're going to start the meeting because I know we've got Senator Pizzo who's joining us and Senator Net today. They're both joining us from Tallahassee, and they're extremely busy. So we want to make sure we give them some time to chat with us and tell us about what's going on in Tallahassee, and for Senator today to tell us all about our gubernatorial campaign. So I have posted in the chat for everybody. It is the November agenda for tonight, as well as our October minutes. So my apologies for not sending this out sooner. Sometimes during election season, things get a little crazy, and we forgot to send them out. So they did get sent out this morning in our email reminder for tonight's meeting. So you did get a little bit of time to review the minutes, but please take a moment to review those when you have a chance. And it is 7:04 p.m. My name is Matthew Land. I'm the president of the Miami Beach Democratic Club. Welcome all of you. I hope we have some more folks joining us because we have two fantastic speakers this evening. Two of my friends, two of the hardest working Democratic senators in representing us in Miami-Dade County, live from Tallahassee. Senator Jason Pizzo, Senator from the 38th. Will you please tell us about what's going on in Tallahassee? We want to hear about redistricting. We want to hear about special session. Give us the highlights, the overviews, and we'll take a couple questions. And we'll let you get on your race.
PG-13. Are we rated R? Can we go NC-17?
We are being recorded, so you determine the level that you want it to be. How about that?
I'm gauging the likelihood of my fourth grade teacher, Mrs. Constable, seeing this recording versus the utility of giving you an efficient. It's crap up here right now. We are up here yet again in another series of bills that have been drafted to accommodate and clean up crazy statements and assertions and platitudes made by the governor on nonsensical things that have nothing to do with the improving, protecting, saving, or preserving the lives of everyday Floridians whatsoever. And I guess these pails of water are getting heavier and heavier, and the disgust even from the other side grows like a chia pet. It's a bad situation. So, I have to call my kids every night and kind of check in. I ask them about their day. They ask me about mine. They ask what's going on with special session. Senator Taddeo, candidate Taddeo, has a beautiful daughter the same age as my boys. They actually talked with each other as well. Kind of like, what'd your mom say about this? And what'd your dad say about this? The governor says crazy shit on a campaign trail, not even so much anymore against against the president or against Democrats, but against now sort of other Republicans jockeying for who's more this or who's more conservative on this or who's more conservative on that. And what ends up happening is there's so much double talk that we're now in a situation where there have been 4 bills that have been drafted, and Senator Taddeo and I'm on appropriations tomorrow. We'll be tackling these things. They're now written in such a fashion that they're all of the things that Democrats have been accused of for several years. What do I mean by that? There's an allotment of millions of dollars that's not attached or attendant to any actual cost of anything. There are substantial material terms inside the bill that have yet to be defined, will be defined later. And we got lambasted, if you remember, when Pelosi's talked about the budget a couple of years ago and said, well, I mean, it's very voluminous. We got to pass it and kind of we'll see what's in it and how it rolls out. That actual line was used today. I mean, verbatim, it was actually used today. And that's kind of where we are. They sort of talk themselves into a corner. Half of the stuff is moot. They're talking about restricting mask mandates on students. And the last 3 school districts, Miami-Dade included, have walked that back. There are terms that are not defined. If someone on here smarter than me, I'm sure it can define to me what anticipated pregnancy means. You win a gift card to your favorite restaurant in Miami Beach that I'll sponsor. But I really don't know why we're here. And I say that, which is fine, as if we had nothing else to do, but we do. So my district includes not only proudly representing all of you in Miami Beach, but 98 souls were lost in Surfside. Surely we could have come up for a special session to talk about condo safety, where 63% of my district is condo laden, right? We could have been talking about unemployment, where Senator Taddeo and I would have liked to spend a lot more time with our kids, their families, and friends doing things last year and not, I don't know, Annette, collectively between the two of us, 50,000 plus constituents, some of which were not ours, assisting in unemployment issues. We haven't spoken about that. And so there is a completely fiscally irresponsible, non-fiduciary meeting obligation of a bunch of collection of words that you almost, not quite, but almost have pity for the other side because they are carrying things they've neither read, nor believe in, nor drafted. The bulk of everything that Senator Taddeo and I would do is something that either is personal, that we've not anecdotally, but either have the data or science, or something that's organic, that we've seen, or someone that we care about, or constituent, or someone who's been wronged or victimized has come to us and say, please, when you go up there, long way from home, where I can't afford to be, and I don't have the skills and the tools and the resources to advocate like you can on my behalf, I'm the little guy, the proverbial little guy. You can change my life and change our community's life by the power of what you're able to do in the process. We don't do any of that shit. We don't get to do any of it. and I don't mean to sound sort of apocalyptic and like kind of throw my hat in the ring kind of thing, but I kind of feel bad for the other side. They have the majority. They have the executive branch, the legislative house, and the Senate, as well as judiciary. They're not doing anything to get anything done. I'm going to sort of end my remarks there because I want Senator Tadeo get in here because she is the star guest. But I got to say this, feel a little bit the same way with our federal partners who have the majorities in both houses and the White House. We should be getting a lot more done too. We've been talking about ad nauseum. It's come up at when we're at the gathering having meetings. I remember having this conversation. We're talking about like Medicare expansion. Well, we have the majority of both houses and the White House. The Republicans in Florida for years historically would never sign on even to the 90-10 split on expansion. But we have the ability to send down a block grant, which they can't say no to. So why aren't we effectively, not just through ARP and disaster and acts of God of war, but why aren't they sending down a block grant that we can actually go ahead and show and expand healthcare coverage and show that the apocalypse is not going to come by doing so? I'm sorry. I digress, but it's frustrating. So there's the potential to do so much. It's not getting done, but you're going to hear Senator Tadeo, I'm sure, use the words like we fight and we push back. It's necessary because we would get steamrolled and stuff would be a lot worse, And we are traditionally, lamented and lambasted for being the party that's not about small business, that's not about entrepreneurship, that's not about any of these things. These bills completely create layers of extra bureaucracy and red tape that actually disproportionately acts to the detriment of small business owners. Please reach out to me.
Senator, before we take some questions, would you mind giving us, I know obviously this has been very focused on special session. This is the fire that's in front of you right now. Can you give us any kind of sneak peek highlights as to what we can expect from the regular legislative session and the remainder of the committee weeks in December when those start back up again?
Sure. You should expect that all of the good ideas that colleagues like Senator Tadeo and I have had over the past few years will find themselves either in a verbatim or diluted version into bills because we don't have pride of authorship and they want to steal good ideas. I'm not kidding. If you guys recall the Centner Academy last year, where I tried to do an amendment that basically said that there's no such thing as shedding infecting menstrual cycles of young women, and you can't fire somebody for getting vaccinated. It almost passed. It was 1919, but this year it miraculously found its way into a bill. Some criminal justice reform things that make economic and just common sense as well. The Republicans are not crazy about giving any of us wins, but they made, the mistake, or I have the good fortune of being the chair of criminal justice, so I get to agenda some things get talked through and voted. We should expect some things on condos, but the governor has really punted and really does not want to commit to anything, either causation or prevention of anything, wants to wait for the NIST. And as a Manhattan resident during 9/11, I know that NIST can take 5 to 7 years. So that kind of terms them out. You should expect some stuff on criminal justice, more sort of, I don't call it corporate welfare, but more incentives to do that. But I think there's other things that are going to be more costly. But you should also expect whatever the governor's agenda is as drafted and created over the next 6 episodes of Tucker Carlson. You should expect that the Republicans are going to be drafting something to go ahead and accommodate that, even if it's a diluted version. And little else to not upset the turnip truck. There are aspirations of leadership on the Republican side in the Senate. Wilton Simpson, who's the president, is going to run for ag commissioner. Our very own Senator Tadeo is running for governor. And then other people are starting to turn down and might want to do things. So not a lot of feathers are going to be ruffled. There's not much left that has an overwhelming majority of one side in favor of the other. Don't be surprised if we don't see an abortion bill. I'll leave it at that. Say that again. Don't be surprised if we do not see a Texas-style abortion bill.
That's fantastic. All right. Folks have some questions for Senator Pizzo. Come on. There we go. Joyce, go for it. You take yourself off mute?
I want to know how you survive day to day with this kind of, I don't think I can sit where you sit because it seems to be like ultimate frustration. So I want to know what is your secret?
The secret is I spent several years handling shootings and homicides of children in Miami-Dade County, and nothing compares to having to tell a parent that their child is lost, which will bring them justice. So playing around with a bunch of colleagues who were picked last in gym class and are trying to get some little small victories in the upper chamber of the third largest state pales in comparison as a bit of sport. There are a lot of bad things that are in motion. There are a lot of dark hearts that vote on things that we push back against. But we act in good faith. We're not. This isn't gotcha. We're not trying to sling arrows at each other. I candidly sent an email to the bill sponsor yesterday, listing a number of questions and concerns I had that were valid. So if they're not acted upon, I get to say, hey, man, I reached out to you last week before we even voted on this stuff, and you had an opportunity to cure it. So, so how do I survive? I have a very supportive family. I'm just, I don't know, I thrive on being able to help. And I love at least 5 times, 6 times a day, we make sure that somebody who never thought they were going to get assistance, whether it's something with the passport, the mail, their landlord, whatever. And I see a number of familiar faces here. A lot of anecdotes and stories of things that we do, and we thrive on that. The rest of it is a lot of fluff and crap and other people's egos that we just sift through and don't take too seriously.
I have a question.
Go for it, Stephen. Then we'll take Christopher Richmond next.
All right, my question for you is, Jason, as you know, I'm running for commissioner and I've knocked on about 7,000 doors. And one thing that a lot of people are worried of is that the rents are going up maybe 30 to 50% because of the pandemic and everyone's moving here. Do you guys ever talk about affordable housing at all? And it never gets brought up. Or is there anything that you guys ever talk about affordable housing?
We do. And unfortunately for the first couple of years I was here and feeling it out, and my mom reminding me I have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so I should listen twice as much as I talk. I just kind of wanted to get a general feel, because I understand the entire process. I understand 4% and 9% tax credits on the dirt versus the building, all that stuff. And this really is simple supply chain. Every luxury item, every used car you've seen pop up because of supply issues. We have a supply issue that with the excess demand in Miami-Dade County. It's very difficult for the majority who live in rather bucolic rural areas, in the majority here in the Senate, to wrap their hands around what it costs for a 1-bedroom in Miami-Dade County. They look at a blended average of $1,491 for a 2-bedroom statewide and figure, okay, you have a 2-party, a 2-income household. They don't realize the restrictions, mix match with and the disparity of income. The state sets standards. So the public defenders or the prosecutors starting at the state attorney or public defender's office in Leon County or in Martin County are making the same as Miami-Dade County. Obviously, the cost of living is 36 to 47% higher at any given time. So it is a supply and demand question. We have to push back a little bit against NIMBY. In the Northeast, we have a collection and a mix of demographic, socioeconomic statuses mixed within the same project. That there really isn't an appetite for that, unfortunately, in Miami-Dade County. But the reality is that we knock down housing for the poor and rebuild it in poor neighborhoods. And we need a greater supply. And I spoke to the American Association of Architects today, and we're talking about how to disseminate the idea of density in a smart way that doesn't freak everybody out. I mean, I went NYU undergrad in Columbia, and density works in Manhattan with plenty of green space. So we need to get to that situation, because you have proponents, Stephen, that are running for office that talk about affordable housing, all this. There's no way in hell they'd want their project in their backyard. Okay, so we got to kind of call that out a little bit, and we need more density. There are 9,000 folks. Let me just put this out there for you. We have 368,000 students in Miami-Dade County K through 12. 9,000 are homeless. 9,000 kindergarten through 12th graders are homeless in Miami-Dade County. 1,200 Miami-Dade College full-time enrolled students are homeless. They should build a freaking dorm. They should take part of their endowment, start asking for money, and they should build a dorm. They should put some beds in. So we do need greater density. If people want to continue to be here, the only way to dilute, rising prices, sky-high prices is density.
All right, last question from Christopher Richmond.
Thank you, and thank you, Senator Pizzo, for being here. As you know, in my day job, I work with unemployed Floridians, and we advocate for them. And I know that both you and Senator Tadeo actually proposed bills to kind of reform our broken unemployment system in the last session. And now in this special session, Governor DeSantis is going to be creating a new unemployment benefit just for people who refuse the vaccine. And I've been getting a lot in my ear from people who are still waiting, sometimes 6 months, for their own unemployment benefits, that, this is what the special session is about. And they're like, Why? So I guess my question is there going to be any movement to finally pass any of those reform bills that, you and Senator Tadeo, and I know Senator Broder got the farthest last time with his, but is there going to be any
Yeah,
movement on
so
that?
he had SB 1996, and I actually quid pro quo and conditioned my vote on one bill that would have fronted money for unemployment for employers on realizing the Wayfair bill, we call it, in exchange for the fact that we had absolute assurances that 1996 was going to pass with a $100 increase. So part of it, basically, the House refused to hear it. So I will tell you this, you guys are close enough in location to a number of House members that are Republicans that could turn the tide as it relates to unemployment. I've actually asked Brodeur for his blessing with 6.3% inflation in the last reporting cycle from the Fed. The $100 is now only worth $93 that we're asking for. And we're still in the same situation, and we could potentially have another, catastrophe requiring it. The short answer is I'm going to be filing a very simple bill that just asks to raise the amount $100. So we're not, based on the cost of living, the lowest of the nation. We keep saying, oh, we're only 46th. Based on the cost of living metric, we would be 57th if there were 6 more other states that we added on from Central America. So I'm going to ask to raise it $100, and I'm going to simply say, you all agreed to this unanimously last year. This is actually less expensive to pay based on inflationary pressure. Well, what's the problem? And at this point, I didn't realize the House was going to be, sort of rejecting of it. This is where we go and kind of like little darts and publicly shame and embarrass people until they relent, or we take them outside and kick the shit out of them.
All right. We appreciate that.
Thank
Senator
you.
Jason Pizzo, I want to just give you a very special thank you. I think our entire board doesn't even know this yet. I think the only person who knows this on our board right now is Patrick Breshik. We want to thank you very much for the very generous contribution from your political committee to our club. We cannot do the work without our members. We cannot do the work without our elected officials helping us to stay active and keep it going. And so thank you. Huge round of applause to you. We really appreciate you.
My
thank
pleasure.
you for all the work that you're doing.
You guys stretch a buck and work very hard. So it's my pleasure to do.
We appreciate it. Stick around
Thank you,
for
Jason.
Yes, thank you.
Gotta go back to work. Thank you, guys.
Go back to work. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Bye.
All right. Next up, we have Senator Annette Tadeo, Senator from the 40th District. Senator, we would love to hear all about your gubernatorial campaign. And also, obviously, if there's anything that you want to highlight that Jason might have missed that's going on in Tallahassee, please feel free to chime in on that as well. But we want to know about what's going on with your gubernatorial campaign. You've recently launched this. You were a friend to a lot of us here in this room, and we're excited to hear from you and hear about what's going on.
Well, thank you so much, Matthew. I really appreciate it. I'm delighted to be on here and seeing so many of you from Tallahassee. We are here because of this waste of time special session, because it's really about making DeSantis look like he's doing something, but it's thank goodness, a watered down sort of version of what he originally wanted, but it's still bad. And I am here to speak with you guys. That is right. I am a candidate for governor. And let me tell you that all of you know, especially the Miami Beach Club, that we have a red tide problem in Florida. We have a red tide problem in Florida where our fish are dying, our environment needs to be looked out for. It also stinks. But let me say that right here in Tallahassee, we also have a red tide problem. And that red tide problem in Tallahassee also stinks because it affects, like the real red tide, it affects our fish, it affects our the smell, it affects our environment, it affects our water. But the red tide problem in Tallahassee is affecting our democracy. We are going through a really pivotal point in our country and in our state where we are fighting, literally fighting for democracy and for people's rights. And so I am a candidate for governor. I am in this race to take it all the way and win it. And I will tell you, we have shown everyone that we are very serious about it. Within the first 2 weeks of our campaign, we have raised $650,000, and we are extremely serious about winning. And there is one thing that I know is don't ever count me out, because I work really, really hard, and we are fighters, all of us, including many of you who have helped me get where I am today. So I want to tell you a little bit that you may not know about me, because many of you know me, but you don't know that my fighting spirit actually comes from the moment I was born. It comes from my father, who was a fighter pilot in World War II in Korea. In World War II, he fought against the Nazis. And just really, really, I have to tell you, from the moment I was born, I had to fight. And I was born, this is something that I don't talk very often about. And that's what I mean, that it's really interesting to talk to people such as yourself who know me for so many years. But I was born with a cleft lip. And when you're born without an upper lip, you can't really take your mother's breast milk, or even from a bottle. And then the ability to talk, it's hard. I had like 19 surgeries growing up. So I'm telling you this because so many people ask me, how do you put up with all the campaigns? How can you get into what you know is going to be a very nasty race with an incumbent governor who's going to have an unlimited amount of money? It's because I grew up really, I think God prepared me for what is about to come. Because when kids, when you're little and you have something so visible as far as a defect, they can be really, really mean. But it prepared me to have the alligator skin, like I like to call it, to just put up with whatever they want to throw my way. Anyway, all of it is lies. That's what they've tried in every one of the campaigns, just to make it up. And it doesn't work. So that fighting spirit, I'm going to take it all the way to the governor's mansion. And I have to tell you, that thick skin is going to come in handy, because it sure did when we won that special election, where they tried everything. And this is something really important that those of us in South Florida understand very well. And that is that they have used this socialista, comunista kind of attacks against us. But they didn't just try those on me. They didn't just call me socialista and comunista. They also called me a terrorist sympathizer. And it was very painful, because for me, it was obviously very personal, but it's also the same story. My story is very similar to so many of you and so many of us in Florida that have had to fled from wherever they come from. And I will tell you, my father, I grew up in a farm. A lot of people don't know this. I know how to milk a cow. I actually, grew up in that environment of a farm, which is a beautiful thing. But that same farm where we grew up is the same farm where the FARC terrorist group showed up and kidnapped my father. It was that experience and that, horrible, situation for our lives that caused me to come to the United States. My dad, an American, so of course I was able to immediately get to the United States. And I moved, of all places, many people don't know this as well, I moved to Alabama. And in Alabama is where I learned English, which didn't turn out so bad. And I want you to know that, when I'm here talking in Tallahassee, fighting with people for our rights, whether it is for us to have Medicaid expansion. And I can tell you that from the minute I got here, I've been fighting for Medicaid expansion every step of the way. But we need to do a better job of selling what we're trying to do with the voters. I'm not just talking about up here with the votes, because I can tell you we have the votes to pass Medicaid expansion, but we do not have the people supporting us the way they have supported us on so many other things. One of the things that we need to tell people about Medicaid expansion is our number one issue in the budget. And I know you want to talk about what's coming in this coming session. Let me tell you, we spend the most of anything on healthcare. But we have a lot of people in Florida that have health insurance. And although we try to tell them, a million Floridians need to have health insurance, sometimes they just don't care. And we need to tell them why they should care, not just because it's good for a million Floridians, but because we can actually save money for all the people who have health insurance. Did you know that those of you who have health insurance are paying a hidden tax of $2,000 every single time you go to the hospital? That is actually what has come out of the study that is not out of Annette Tadeo. It's a study that was done by us, just a very liberal group, do you know that liberal group called the Chamber of Commerce? That's the group. They actually did a study, and all of us who have health insurance are paying $2,000 of a hidden tax every time we go to the hospital. And only because of politics. This governor refuses to expand Medicaid. I can tell you, once I get to the governor's mansion, the first thing I know we can do, and this is a promise I can make, is expand Medicaid. Why? Because I know how to count my votes in Tallahassee. I have done it, whether it's killing a bill or passing a bill. And I can tell you, we have the votes, we have enough Republicans. And if we don't, we have some stragglers. The governor always had that veto pen, and you can bet I'm going to use it to make sure we get it signed and into law. And that will save everyone money. But more importantly, we have all this extra money, billions of dollars that are coming from the federal government that we're just turning away. And that's our money that we send. So as you heard about my 19 surgeries, obviously very personal to me that people have health care. And that is one of the reasons I have been fighting for Medicaid expansion every step of the way. But I want you to know that when I got to Alabama, I was telling you about that. When I got to Alabama, I had a really hard time getting into college and improving my English. So I had to work as a waitress to try to pay my way to college. And my testing scores were horrendous. And we have a system in Florida where we teach to a test. We do not, we are not at the stage as a state where we're allowing our teachers to do what they do best, which is teach our kids, teach them to think, teach them history, teach them not to attest. And we are basing our kids' future on a test score. And I can tell you, my test scores were horrendous. And clearly, I should not have been measured by that test score. But I persevered and kept trying, and I eventually got into college. And I want you to know that my desire to serve actually came about in college. I'm going to be real quick because I don't want to keep you, but I want to tell you this story because it's really important that you understand where does that pivotal moment in my life that came, that changed and made me decide that someday I was going to run for office. And it was during my first election when I ran for student government secretary in college. I ran for student government secretary, put posters all over the school that said Annette Tadeo for secretary. And on the day of the election, as I'm going to go vote for myself for secretary, I noticed that my posters no longer said secretary. They said Annette Tadeo for deportation. That was a moment that was very difficult for me, where I realized that we have people in this country and in this world that look at us different because of our accent or because of the color of our skin or what we look like, or in some cases our gender. But in this experience for me, I lost that election. But you know what? I gained so much more because I was able to, at that moment, realize that I was going to be successful. I was going to start my own business. I was going to make sure that someday I was going to run for office, and I was going to make sure that we had a diverse group of people representing what makes this country great. What makes this country great is the diversity of people, diversity of thought, and all of the things we have to offer. So that experience was really what brought me to where we are today. And I have been a fighter all throughout, even having all kinds of obstacles along the way. And I want you to know, when obstacles get put in my way, I actually work even harder and like to prove myself. Like the time when the party leaders called me and told me not to run for our special election. If you remember, in case you have forgotten, I replaced Frank Partiles. I don't have to tell this group who that is. And I ran for that special election and was not thinking about doing it actually. But when I got a call from some of the party leaders and they said, you know, we've made a decision, donors and some of the electeds and those of us in the party decided that you should not run. And I was like, I don't ask my husband what to do. I'm certainly not going to ask you guys what to do. So I think I'm going to think about this, because I was getting calls from community leaders and other people that really wanted me to run. And I'm so glad I ran. And I'm so glad that they tried all those attacks on me, that we pushed back, because we didn't let them call us not just socialista comunista, but a terrorist sympathizer, and we beat them. And if you guys remember, nobody thought I was going to win, to the point where no one of the media showed up at my victory party. They were all at my opponent's party. The future Marco Rubio, they called him. They were going to make him Senate president, but we were able to beat that election by 4 points. I currently represent a Trump district, got reelected since that special election. And I can tell you, I continue to be popular in that district because I do what we wish our current governor would do, which is represent all Floridians, not just those that vote for us. And we need to do everything that's right for all Floridians, not just for some. So let me end with this, because I know you guys have questions, and I do want to talk about so many of the issues that I'm going to bring to the table, such as early education, pre-K all day, not just 3 hours a day. We're going to talk about, obviously I talked about Medicaid expansion, but we're going to talk about all the things that we can bring if we have a Democrat in the governor's mansion, all the policies that we can do. We have a huge problem right now with a lot of people not going back to work, especially women. And it has to do with the fact that it costs them more to find somebody to look out for their kids than it does for them to go back to work, which is why we need not just pre-K for 3 hours a day, pre-K all day, and earlier childhood education, so our kids actually have an opportunity to go into the school with reading abilities and not behind from the get-go. That is really important, and we're going to invest in that because we should, and it's good for business. So we can make a business case about all these policies, all these things that I want to bring to Florida. But let me end with this. My tagline is I believe, or believe is our tagline for our campaign. And look, everything in my life has been about telling me I can't do it, shouldn't do it, it's not my turn, you can't win, all these different things. But one of the things that I can tell you is that I've always believed in us, I believed in Florida, I believe, and I know we can win. But let me tell you what happened after I won that special election. I got a phone call from my school, the university where I had that first election, and they asked me to go back and be the keynote speaker. And I want you to know that I actually wondered if I should tell that story, because I was going to Alabama, the place right after 2017. This was right after Trump got elected. So I thought if I tell the story, I may just be thrown out. They might throw stones at me. But I decided I needed to, because after all, this is what I decided many years ago, that I wanted to bring more people to the table, that I wanted to make sure that we as a country were more understanding of other people's stories. So I did tell the story. And I apologize, I'm getting a call. And I told the stories, and in that process of telling that story, I want you to know that I did not get thrown out. I didn't get stones thrown at me. Instead, I got a standing ovation in Alabama. And more importantly, when I got off the stage, there were all these kids with their cap and gowns, and they were there telling me how much it meant to them to have someone like me be able to tell them that their dreams are whatever they want them to be if they work hard enough. And that was worth every bit of it. And that's why I believe that in Florida, even in conservative areas, and I just went to Pensacola yesterday, and the reception was unbelievable. We can win. we can bring people together. We can even get some Republicans, like I did in my special election and in my re-election. We can create the coalition. We have lost a lot of Hispanic voters, and I know I can bring them back. I know that we can win certain areas in order for us to win in the state of Florida. We must do it and actually create the coalition of voters for us to win. I don't only believe, I know we can win. So with that, thank you. Go ahead
Thank
with
you,
the
Senator.
question.
No,
and the
appreciate it.
comments are-
Yeah,
are-
folks, you have
are a
questions,
lot
you
of
can,
fun.
yeah, raise my hand, raise your hand, or use the raise my hand feature. Patrick, go for it.
Hi, I'm just curious, what kind of, with climate change being such an imminent threat to not only our state, but the whole world, what kind of initiatives would you take on as governor to help us mitigate our impact on the climate?
Well, that is a great question. And I will tell you, for starters, we could have an actual plan. Because right now we have Miami-Dade County and certain areas of the state where they actually, we in Miami-Dade County have a great mayor and we have a plan and we are putting things in place. But as a state, we are not holistically thinking what's in the best interest of the state. And I will tell you again, it affects our business because we do have the insurance industry, we have a crisis, we have a problem, and insurance companies and the banking sector are always decades in advance. They're always thinking way ahead, and we have not. We have not planned. We have not thought of what do we need to do to protect our water? We have water, but we're not doing everything we can to protect it and to ensure that we continue to have clean water without all the pollutants going into it. We have a huge problem with septic tanks. And I saw how the governor used the federal money that we just got to make sure that certain areas that are red got their grants, but somehow the entire South Florida area and even Hillsborough was left out. And you can't play politics like that if you truly are looking for the best interests of the whole state. And that's exactly what he's doing. Again, everything about this governor is political, and it should not be. I am a very proud Democrat, and I love standing up for our values. But once you are elected, you must think of everyone and think holistically. And we have not done that from a climate change perspective. So unlike him, I would actually have real scientists, real people to tell us what do we need to be doing. And we already know this. But what I'm saying is, as a state and as a government, we should have a plan 20, 30 years down the road. So we actually prepare for what is coming. One of the bills that I did pass when I first got there was about flood insurance, because I am concerned that a lot of people do not have flood and do not realize that when they buy the insurance that they buy, they're required to buy, which is the insurance for when a hurricane hits, they must also have insurance for flood. And you guys in Miami Beach understand that more than anybody. But let me tell you, the flooding is actually projected to be even worse on the west side where I represent. And there are so many people that don't even realize it until some people sort of saw it when it happened in Texas, where we saw all those houses underwater. And let me tell you, most of those people did not have flood insurance because the flood map said they didn't need them, so the bank didn't require them. I changed that with my law, and we need to have many more forward-thinking things like that, because homes are the true one thing that people end up buying, and that gives them the ability to move to the middle class. And we need to have more affordable housing. And I know Senator Pizzo talked a little bit about that, but we do need to ensure that people get to keep their home and redo their home when something bad happens, which we know inevitably will happen in Florida because we are hit by hurricanes and they're getting stronger and stronger because of climate change.
Thank you, Senator. We're at 7:45, so we're going to just take one more question. Amanda, I'll let you have it since your hand was up first. And then Annette, if you could, or Millie, if you could, we would love to have contact information, so how folks can get a hold of you, the campaign, social media handles, all that stuff. If you want to throw that in the chat, if one of you wants to do that, that'd be fantastic. So Amanda, you're going to take the last question for us with Senator Teo for tonight.
Yeah, I don't know. Hi, Annette. Nice to see you. I don't know if you'll be able to answer this because I just listened to an NPR podcast about 2 weeks ago, but it goes on the same thing about climate change and the environment. But over the past 2 years, the manatees in Florida have been dying due to starvation. And this year already, 10% of all Florida manatees have died. And I don't know if it has to do, well, they're saying it's algae, but like, does like maybe like the red tide, as you discussed, like has something to do with it? And they're trying to decide if they should feed them, which goes against like, like not like the survival of the fittest. But what would you do as governor or as senator to help the manatee?
Well, and by the way, just because the manatees are dying at such high rate doesn't mean that all other species are not also dying. I mean, this is affecting not just the manatees, but obviously we care very much and they're much more visible. So we are aware of how many of them are dying, but this is completely related to the pollution, to the red tide, to the algae blooms that we have. The storms also don't help. I mean, there's just a lot of things that we know that are in place that have caused this to happen. And we knew it was coming. We knew that we were starting to lose them, and yet we do nothing about it. And it is very frustrating when we don't have a budget that actually puts emphasis on making sure that we are taking care of our precious resources and our beautiful animals. So it's really very frustrating to see that. We should be, if the scientists say we should be feeding them, I say we need to feed them immediately. But the point is that this is coming from a much bigger problem, which is that we have not paid attention to our environment. We have not protected it. And it's not just coming from where they are in some of these canals and some of these places. It's also coming from our springs. I have had a bill because we are giving away our water in our springs, 1 million gallons a day, to private corporations. And they only ask them for $135 permit fee. That's it. And we just give it away. Imagine having a business. I'm a business owner. Imagine having a business where you have a free product. That's what we're giving them. And all I'm asking is that we should not give it away for free. And that money could be invested in protecting the springs, in ensuring that our water is not polluted, and in ensuring that we invest in the septic tank issue. Because let me tell you, the septic tank issue is huge. It is seeping into our earth, and therefore is going into our potable water. This is a problem, and we need to have resources to be able to fight it. And yet we're giving corporations, foreign, I might add, corporations, products, which is our water, precious water, for free.
Senator, thank you so very much for being with us tonight. I'm sorry we can't, I know there's probably 20 more questions that people want to ask you. I know this is probably not gonna be the last time that we're gonna feature you as one of our guest speakers. We are returning to our in-person meetings starting in January. We're very excited about that. Anytime that you're able to stop by, we would always love to have you. Thank you. We appreciate all the great work you're doing in Tallahassee. And Millie, thank you so much for putting all the contact information and social media handles in the chat. You guys make sure you are checking out all of our Democratic candidates. We appreciate it. Thank you, Senator. Go do the good work for us in Tallahassee. We appreciate you.
I am here, and thank you so much for all that you guys do. And please join our campaign. We're very excited, and we are going to be all over the place. And I do look forward to coming back. So thank you for all that you do. And good luck to everyone tomorrow.
Yep. Thank you, Senator. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to move into our meeting agenda. Let me post it real quick in the chat for any of those who might have come in late. We have our November agenda as well as our October minutes are right back here in the chat for everybody. First up, we're going to take up the approval of the October minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes from October? Made
I'll
by
motion.
Kim, seconded by Amanda.
Second.
Thank you so much. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor, you can raise your hand, say aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries and the minutes from October were approved. We're going to go ahead and move into our executive board reports, our committee reports, and then recognize a couple of other guest speakers that might be here, candidates and so on, so forth. All right, so the president's report. I'm going to talk a little bit about this election cycle. I'm just going to, there's a little bit of an elephant in the room, and I think the Miami Beach Democratic Club has been a little bit active lately. As the Miami Beach Democratic Club, it is our responsibility to lift up Democratic candidates and elected officials and provide our members with every opportunity to engage with them in various ways, from online and in-person forums when we can be in person, and we are very excited about returning soon. Our general membership meetings where we feature them as guest speakers, social events, and providing all their content information to all of you so you can engage with them directly. It's been a long-standing policy of this Miami Beach Democratic Club to stay neutral when there's more than one Democrat running to represent us, but we still provide coverage for all the Democratic candidates. I personally think that we've done an excellent job of doing this over the years, and this cycle is no exception. I am extremely proud of our candidate forum that we held for the City of Miami Beach Commission and Mayor earlier in September. We featured every single Democratic candidate that was running for office. We had almost every single one of them as guest speakers leading up to the election. And we even had a candidate corner in our emails. So if candidates wanted us to feature a fundraiser they were having or a canvas event or wanted volunteers, we promoted that to our membership. I'm very proud of all of the work we've done to try to remain as impartial and neutral while promoting all of our Democratic candidates as possible. You've probably seen some of the recent activity when it comes to the Group 1 runoff election. For some reason, and maybe it is just me, it just feels like this election cycle seems to have taken on a very negative and nasty tone than in recent cycles. I don't know if this is coming from, stuff that's going on up in DC that just trickles down to West Avenue or what's going on. It just seems like it got really negative. Earlier last week, the board of directors put out a statement regarding all this negative campaigning that's happening from the residents, from political committees, from the candidates, even from the DEC, and we just don't like the negative campaigning. We heard from our members, and so we felt it was important that we did put out a statement that we wish there was not all this negative campaigning going on. Over the weekend, the board of directors once again had to put out another statement, but this time it was regarding Group 1 runoff candidate, Kristen Rosa Gonzalez, who sent a mailer from her campaign that's saying that she was endorsed by our Democratic Club, our Miami Beach Democratic Club. This is 100% false. There's even a Miami Herald article that was written about it. As president of this club, I have to take full responsibility for not more clearly communicating in our email that support for all Democratic candidates did not mean that we were endorsing anyone or even everyone in those races. I approve every single email before they're sent out to all of you. And so I have no one to blame for myself for not making sure that was more clearly communicated. But we as the Miami Beach Democratic Club have been extremely clear every single election cycle that we do not involve ourselves in races with multiple Democratic candidates and instead just provide opportunities for our members to get to know and engage with those Democratic candidates running to represent us in Miami Beach. It is extremely unfortunate that despite conversations that I had with Kristen back in September of this year about how we stay neutral in races with multiple Democrats, that she and her campaign did decide to interpret that phrase as an endorsement. Most elected officials and candidates know how to get a hold of me and know how responsive that I am. If they can't get a hold of me, I know that they can get a hold of some of our other board members as well, and they are just as responsive. She never once asked if we had actually endorsed her or could use our logo. It was wrong of her to do this to mislead voters in the way that she did. I've worked in politics for almost 15 years, and I've sat on endorsement panels for so many different organizations. When an organization endorses your candidacy, it is made very clear that you've been endorsed by that organization. It's also very clear about what kind of level of support that you will provide for them, including the use of your logo. It's also very clearly communicated to your membership which candidates you're supporting. We have stated over and over and over again, we have not taken a position in the Group 1 runoff race because there are two Democrats running, Raquel Pacheco and Kristen Rosa Gonzalez. Going forward, I will be working with our communications committee co-chairs, as well as the rest of our board, to make sure that we put forward policies or best practices That from lessons learned from this election cycle, clearly we weren't doing a good enough job because of what's going on. Political discourse, I think, can be very good and healthy, but I do hope that it starts taking on a more positive tone. And I hope that we can get back to talking about the actual issues that affect us on Miami Beach and not divide us so much. I will say one last thing. Tomorrow is the election. If you haven't voted, please do go vote. The polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. You must vote at your precinct. If you have your absentee ballot, you must take it in with you. You can go vote in person, but please do go vote. Call your friends. Local elections are one with such the smallest of margins. There's just such a typically low turnout, and especially in off-year elections like we have right now. A runoff election is probably going to have an even lower turnout. These elections do matter. So I do just encourage all of you to go vote. And that is my president's report for this evening. I will turn it over to Amanda for a vice president's report and an outreach report.
Okay, hi. Okay, so really good news. We have raised as a club $700 for the Miami Beach Community Church Food Drive. $700. Like that is, I went to we were trying to get someone from the church to speak. Here, let me move inside. I'm sorry. But I emailed, obviously we know they're a church. So they didn't get back to me. I've been reaching out for the last 2 weeks, but I went there today. I didn't realize they're closed on Monday. So I'll follow up tomorrow. And then we're going to be delivering the food either Wednesday or Thursday. Steve's gonna probably help. I haven't asked Matthew yet, but I'm going to. So anyways, $700 for families. Keep in mind, the Miami Beach Community Church, they every Sunday, not just during Thanksgiving, they supply families of Miami Beach in need with food. So while we choose November, they do it all year. So that's great. Thank you, everyone. I'm so proud of us. And then other good news, we are having an in-person holiday party on December 19th. Mark your calendars. Tim will be there. I made sure of it. From 5 to 7. And the gathering has genuine, I can't speak right now. The gathering has given us 30 drink tickets for our 31st members. So again, that's December 19th, 5 to 7. I've requested it to be in the outside area. So COVID, whatever, we can all hang out in the garden area. And then we'll have the main bar as access because they will be doing renovations. So the library will be closed. But I said, that's perfect. We can all hang out outside and then go in and get your drink. And again, and we'll have light appetizers as well. And then moving forward to, I cannot believe 2022, Christie House, we're going to do a drive. If any of you remember the human trafficking organization in October, I promised them that we would get together a drive. I'm trying to find out what exactly they need, but be on the lookout for that for January. And then, as Matthew said, we will be doing in-person meetings starting, depending on the numbers, which hopefully stay low, in January at the Hotel Marseille, where Steve Mendel is the owner, a club member, and donates his location for free. And I do want to talk to our endorsed Stephen Cohen, Commissioner Group 3, right? Yeah, okay. About doing a walk around cleanup, because I've seen he's done them in the past. I walk around the Flamingo Park a lot in the streets with Jack, as most of you know, and there's just garbage everywhere. I mean, it may be a little garbage, but so Stephen, I'll connect with you and maybe we could shoot for January or February to do like a community cleanup. So yeah, lots of positive things happening.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. Janet, or sorry, I don't know. I don't have the agenda in front of me. Janet, give us please give us the secretary's report. You're on mute, Janet.
Sorry, I remembered to turn on my video, but forgot to turn on my audio. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I think we have 97 members, and we're hoping to expand that, back to the numbers that we were before the presidential election in 2020, where our group really expanded a lot because a lot of people wanted to volunteer and help out in the election. So all I really have to say for tonight is if you have friends that you think would benefit from being a member of our club, would like to hear what the programming that we put on, with candidates and elected officials speaking to us and having the opportunity to ask them questions and understand what's going on more in the community. And please encourage them to go to our website and join, or maybe just join a meeting and then they could decide if they want to join. But the best endorsement for us is current members asking their friends or inviting their friends to be members. So that's all I have to say for tonight.
Thank you, Janet. Patrick, do you want to give us a treasurer's update, please?
Sure. Let's see. Today, our current bank balance is $7,275. The month-to-date expenses are $143.89, mostly the recurring Zoom and our storage unit costs. We've taken in $433, mostly from donations to our food drive. We also have checks outstanding. Thank you again to Senator Pizzo for a general donation and $100 from Kristen Rosen Gonzalez for the food drive. And I'll be depositing those weeks. So that's not in our current budget, but thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. We appreciate it. All right, we'll move into some committee reports. David Geller is not able to join us this evening. His update was that the election is tomorrow and he wants to make sure everyone goes and votes. I think I already said that 7 to 7, go to your precinct if you haven't already, and make sure everyone goes votes. Steve Hawes, will you give us a communications committee update, please?
Sure. Hello, everyone. So over the past month over month, we've mostly been communicating about the election and the runoffs. And we've had a higher open rate than normal. It's like 23%. In the middle of the year, we're at like 15% open rate on our emails. So more people are at least opening our emails. I'm thinking it has to do with the election. A lot of our emails were election related, but that stood out. On social media, we have 1,100 followers on Facebook and Instagram, and we are nearing 1,000 followers on Twitter. And over the past month, we've had all our numbers on Twitter were going up, the tweets and the impressions and whatnot. So if you're on Twitter, give us a follow. Our account is MB Democrats. I'm going to post all that stuff in the chat. We have 3 new blog posts over this last month. It's always good to look. If you don't know where our blog posts are, go to our website and there's a menu item called announcements. That's where our blog posts are. So a lot of the big things that are coming up, we'll usually post there. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Steve. We appreciate it. Neighborhood building organizing. Aaron, are you still on or no? I know he was on earlier.
No, I don't think he was really ever on.
No, I was. I'm here with Raquel. I was on the phone earlier, but
oh.
Hi, guys.
Hi. Aaron, do you want to give us a quick update?
I don't have an update. I've been in campaign mode. It's kind of suspended, but we'll be picking that back up next month.
Sounds good.
And
you
don't know my cell phone number, apparently, Amanda. I was the cell phone earlier.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, perfect. Thank you, Aaron. All right. Next up, Bill Warren, will you give us a program update?
Well, this month I really don't have much to report, but just again emphasizing to get out to the polls tomorrow and everybody, take responsibility for going out and voting for the right people, the right Democrats out there. And I would like to say Matt gave an excellent president's report. And Matt, I don't think that the club could have done any better job at communicating our position than what we did during this cycle and prior cycles. And I don't think it's anything that you did. You can't control bad behavior, no matter how much you communicate. So please don't think that you should have done anything more than you did to make this a good and fair and and doing our part to try
Thank you,
to
Bill.
get the word out. Thanks so much.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a
Bill.
lot for your
Appreciate
work,
it.
Matt.
Wait,
You're
I
welcome.
have a question.
Yes.
Don't we need to start planning for Pride April?
We do. Bill's gonna head it up. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
Oh my
You're gonna be hearing about it
gosh.
soon.
I know,
All right.
get out of quiet mode. We gotta get into it again. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, voter registration. Tanera was not able to be with us this evening either. She did let me know that we should hopefully have a date very soon for the voter registration drive that we're going to be doing at the New World Symphony for all of those students. This is something we did a couple of years ago when Honey Bernstein was our voter registration chair. The New World Symphony has a lot of students that come in and move here for a couple of years while they're being students there, and they are moving to Florida, and so they would like to be registered as voters. I think the last time around, I think we registered like 40 or 50 people or something like that. It was a fantastic turnout of people that we were able to register and very exciting. So we're hoping to lock that date in. We might need some volunteers to come help us register voters because it's a lot of people in a short amount of time, but we will keep you posted when that happens. So stay tuned for our social media and for emails about that. Okay, that's all of the committee reports that we have for this evening. I want to just very quickly highlight some of those upcoming events that
Tim
we
has
talked
a
about.
question, Matt.
Oh, go for it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So we don't know.
Oh yes, please do. Yes, Tim, please go for it.
We don't have a date yet for when we might go to the New World Symphony.
We do not know. Tanera said that she said she's still waiting for them to get back to her on a date. She said she's hoping to have it locked in this week.
But you're absolutely right. It was a huge success. I think we registered at least 50 people.
It's fantastic. And again, when we do register voters, we do it in a nonpartisan fashion. We cannot tell them how to register. That is very illegal to do. But we do hope that they do sign up for vote by mail and, great insurance and to make sure that you do get out to vote. So, and that's when we do any of our voter registration stuff, whether it's on Lincoln Road.
They were a Democrat-leaning crowd.
Yes. Yes, we're a friendly crowd, so we don't have to.
And as I told Matthew, I reached out to Honey, who's the president of my condo board, and she's totally in for helping. I
Awesome.
believe she's in Israel for the next month, but hopefully she'll be back for when we do it. But she's totally dedicated to helping us with voter reg.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, I'm going to do upcoming events real quick, and then we're going to recognize any other guest speakers for the rest of the other candidates and things like that are on. City of Miami Beach runoff election. I'm going to say it one more time. It's tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. If you do want to volunteer for the Normandy Fountain or Lincoln Road Antique Market to either help us staff one of our booths or register voters, please contact us at miamibeachdems@gmail.com. All this information I'm putting in the chat for you right now. And then we've got our holiday social on Sunday, December the 19th at the Gathering from 5 to 7 p.m. The first drink for dues paying members is free, and we'll have some light bites. Not too late to sign up to be a member. If you want a free drink, get our holiday social. The December meeting date was changed to the second Monday of the month. They're normally held on the 3rd, as well as January. December, it was changed due to that, the holidays being starting the week of the 20th. And then same thing for the 3rd Monday in January. We always change it for the MLK Day holiday.
And February as well, President's
February
Day.
as well. Well, I'm not going that far in the calendar. We're still too far. We're trying to just get through the new year. Okay. Stephen Cohen, I think you were on. You want to give a 1 minute hello? Tell us what's going on.
Yeah, no, I just want to thank you guys very much, obviously, for the endorsement. And I also want to say that Matt has done an amazing job this whole entire election process. I mean, he was very clear the whole entire time. I don't know if you guys know, he's also, involved with a union endorsement and all different endorsements. And he literally is working maybe 18 hours a day. So I don't know that, and you shouldn't take any responsibility to the elections in Miami Beach. I unfortunately, and hopefully I win, and I'll try to do some things to improve them. But as you guys know, we have this thing called Citizens United out there, which is is actually Billionaires United, and we have a lot of very wealthy people that want to get involved in our elections. And I don't know if you saw it. I mean, I've been taking hits from developers all over the world. But I can just tell you that most important is that we work together as a club and as a community, and we come together. We have more events, more debates, more positive things, and that will get more people to go out. But everyone should avoid all the lies, everything that's going out there. I know that Raquel and I happen to have a new website that they just put up for us. So basically, I would really just go out tomorrow. If everyone just tells 2 or 3 new people, to vote, will change the election. And I think that there's a good chance that, I'll win. And, I think that Raquel has a very good chance too, because she's working very hard. So I just want to say thank you guys. You guys have done an amazing job. And like I said, I don't want Matt to feel like he's taking any responsibility at all. If I had to say that anybody's done the best job by far of anybody, it's Matt. And you guys should be
Thank you.
really, really happy that you have him leading your club. Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen.
Oh, he should run for re-election in March.
All right, moving on to our next guest speaker, Raquel Pacheco, Group 1. Go for Raquel.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Matthew. Hi, everybody. Nice to be here. Stephen, I did not know about that website, so you're going to have to fill me in on that. Anyway, it's really great to be here. As you all know, we are less than 24 hours away from election results. It's been a rough ride. Admittedly, I'm tired. I'm ready to get tomorrow underway. I'm hoping that our campaign has risen above to all the negativity as much as possible. We've tried very hard with Aaron Boslund, my campaign manager, and my team. We've tried really hard to stay focused on our positive, what we have to offer the city. I hope that's come through despite all the negative stuff that we've had to deal with along the way. It's nice to be here with on the same night as Senator Pizzo and Annette Taddeo. I'd like to congratulate her on her run for governor and wish her well. Those are two individuals who actually did endorse me. And I also, I'm very grateful for you all for your support. And I just want to really urge everybody to get their friends, make some phone calls, send some text messages. This is really about turnout. We know it's a runoff and numbers are generally dismal. So we need to do better. And I just want you all to know that regardless of what happens tomorrow, I am committed to working with the Democratic Party and moving forward our agenda. So just know that I'm in it for the long run. And thank you so much for all of the support. And let's get this done. Let's go.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Raquel. Our esteemed Democratic Executive Committee Party Chair, Robert Dempsters, also with us tonight. Robert, did you want to say anything? Say hello.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's great to be at your meeting. You guys run some of the best meetings that we have from all of our clubs, so you should be congratulated on that. You do amazing work. I don't really have too much to say. I would just congratulate, I would just say to both Stephen and Raquel that you guys have run great campaigns thus far, and encourage all of you on this call to reach out to someone who may not have voted and encourage them to come out and vote tomorrow. Okay. And thank you for the time.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there a reason the DEC sent out a negative campaign agenda flyer to our Miami Beach area without, consulting us?
We generally don't consult anyone before we send out flyers on the behalf of the party. We didn't reference the Miami Beach Democratic Club on there. And, while the mailer that you're referring to is generally, it can be interpreted as being, more negative than what we generally do. What I would say is that largely everything that's included on there, all of the substantive points on the, referenced on the mailer are quite factual. There were references cited on there from, Miami Herald articles that covered
But
each and
that's
every
not, my question wasn't if it was factual. My question was, why is the Democratic?
Hey, Amanda.
Mhm.
I provided Robert's phone and email address.
Tim has a question.
I know, but
as well.
I provided Robert's phone and email address to folks. I understand that, and I'm running this meeting. I am the chair.
Matt,
Tim has a
question. Matt, if I could.
Okay, sure.
Amanda, you have a good question. I was trying to finish answering it. What I was saying is, while it can be interpreted as a negative mailer, and I wouldn't necessarily, really disagree with that interpretation. What I would say is that is more important is the fact that everything that was on there is pretty factual, and it's not, and even more substantive than that. These weren't things that, happened 20 years ago before, and are not relevant to public life. largely all of these things are things that happened while, Ms. Rosen Gonzalez either was an elected official for the city of Miami Beach or since she was a Miami Beach elected official. And the most important part is that these are things that we felt were relevant for voters in the city of Miami Beach to know when making their decision. So your question is, why didn't we, consult the Miami Beach Democratic Club? We don't, that's not something we've ever done with any mailing that we've ever sent out. We respect the input of the club very much, which is why when we do our endorsement process, we generally try to put a majority of people from the club, in the area in which we're endorsing on that endorsement panel. And that's where we solicit the input of the, of the local club. That's how we address that. But once we have decided that once the body has decided that we are going to endorse a candidate, it's incumbent upon us to do everything that we can to push that candidate across the finish line. And I would love to be able to, and believe me, as someone who has run for office and has had countless negative things put out about me, I know how that feels. But that being said, once we have chosen to endorse a candidate, I do not apologize for doing everything that we can do to get that candidate across the finish line.
So you guys don't want all Democrats to win. You're just choosing the Democrat you want to win.
Well, all Democrats can't win when they're running against each other. And
But why does it have
that's
to be
explicitly the
negative?
point of an endorsement process.
Well, Tim has the questions.
Yes, if I might, Robert.
Sure, Tim.
We've discussed throughout a portion of this meeting the fact that the Miami Beach Democratic Club takes a very strong position in the fact that we do not ever endorse one Democrat over another in the same race. I'm wondering why the DEC does, because I would have thought that if we're following a policy, you guys would have too. It was extremely disappointing to me that you came out with that information.
Okay, that's a good question, Tim, and I appreciate you asking it. With regards to specifically what you're asking as far as why we endorsed in this race, it's codified pretty clearly in our bylaws, and there's a bit of confusion on this, so I understand why you're asking that. But with regards to our bylaws, we are specifically prohibited from endorsing one Democrat over another Democrat in a partisan primary, which this election was not. It's neither a primary nor partisan. And in those situations, it's long been our policy to go ahead and endorse in those races. This isn't the first time that that's happened. And to be honest with you, we've had tremendous success in getting fantastic people elected in races that were very similar to this. For example, Luisa Santos is I don't know if you're familiar with Luisa
Lucia
Santos.
Geller. She's a better one.
I was getting to her next.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Lucia Baez Geller, Luisa Santos, a number of commissioners over in the city of North Miami Beach, in which we were able to completely flip that commission from a Republican-controlled commission to a Democrat-controlled commission. So specifically to answer your question, it's been codified in our bylaws for a number of years that we are absolutely permitted to do that. And if the body chooses to endorse in these races, that's the way that it has been for a while.
And Tim, just to kind of further elaborate, and I actually learned this from Robert over all of this, we are not as a club prohibited from endorsing one Democrat over another. We have chosen to make it.
Matthew,
there's
we
nothing
talked
in our
about
there's nothing in our bylaws that says that.
We talked about it as a board.
Amanda, please listen to me for a moment. I am the chair and I have the floor. Thank you. It is our policy to not endorse one Democrat over another. We are not prohibited from doing so. Our bylaws do not specifically prohibit us from doing so. And if it does, then I would like to please be corrected. It is our policy.
Whose policy? Where did that policy
It is the board's,
come from?
I don't know. It's been a longstanding policy of the board to not endorse. It's a policy that I support. I fully support doing that. I support us not engaging in endorsing one Democrat over another, but there's nothing that specifically states that we cannot do it. We just don't do it. That's it.
But that's not the question. That has not been the question. The question has been why, when other states look at Florida and Miami as not a functional Democratic organization, why is our county party dictating or distributing negative mailers on Democrats? Right now in our country, we have a big problem with politics and attacking a fellow Democrat. It doesn't matter if it's true or correct, or attacking a fellow Democrat is what the Republican Party would do to us. So attacking a Democrat who may win tomorrow will then backlash on the Democratic Party.
Can I respond to that? I don't want to.
Yeah, it wasn't a question.
I was
It was
asking I was talking to Matthew. Can I respond to that? Because I don't want to hijack too much of your meeting.
Yeah, this is, I mean, you're here and we fall under the umbrella of the part of the DEC, and that's why we are, most of us are very upset.
Matt?
Yeah, go for it. Please feel free to respond. Yes. I was simply responding to that. We are not prohibited from doing that. We can endorse if we want to. We just don't do that. I know.
We all know.
Yeah.
We all know that, but and Tim's raising his hand again, we all.
And very quickly, it is 8:20 p.m. I do not want to get into prolonged back and forth. And I do know, and I will just state this for everyone that's here, I provided Robert's phone number and email address to our entire board for if anyone wants to have questions or wants to communicate with them offline. So I don't want to keep this discussion going forever, because I also
Can you pop that back into the chat so that we have it updated?
Sure.
And I'll just have one more thing to say, Robert. I think your negative campaigning would have been better used against Alex Fernandez as opposed to another Democrat.
Thank you.
Yeah, we didn't actually. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Yeah. The issue with that was the endorsement process. Mr. Cohen applied for the endorsement. The people in that race applied for the endorsement, and we did not. It did not meet the threshold for which we could endorse as a county party. Otherwise, I'm quite sure we would have done largely the same thing. And Mr. Cohen has run, I've been paying attention to your campaign, and you've been running a wonderful campaign. You are doing even better in the runoff. And I was looking at the numbers today, and it looks very good for you tomorrow. So I wish you the best of luck.
But one last thing, I think what Tim was saying. Sorry.
This is what I'm going to say. I'm just going to say this. I'm just saying in the long run, and just because I'm using a consultant from another city, I would just say that one thing to remember is that we got to be a little bit more united as a party, because as Amanda did say, that we're pretty much, leading the rest of the country. So we need to be a little bit more united as a party. And just because, you're maybe not involved with, all these different clubs in Democrat doesn't make you a Democrat, because you got to remember 95 to 99% of people are not Democrats, because a lot of Democrats have 2 jobs, 3 kids, and they don't have enough time to really get involved in these clubs. So we need to really just be cognizant of that. And I want to tell you one more thing. That one thing that my basketball coach told me when I was younger is that he said, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So one thing I would always say is that we make sure that we carry all of the Democrats. And that's right. And as far as me, if I win my election, it's because I'm working hard and I'm trying to do it the right way. That's why. And I think, just so you know, if we want to clean up our elections in the long run, we just have to be stronger, have to have more events as Democrats, and then we'll win. And I've been speaking to David Richardson about that. And if it's my goal, instead of having 97 members, by the time we have another election in a year, we'll have 1,000 members. Just like I said, I started up with 300 members in my Facebook group, and now I have 7,200. And I had one post go to over 10,000 people within 17 hours. So, I think I'm going to win, and I'm going to win because I work hard and I do it the right way. Thank you.
Yes, and I just,
Thank you, Stephen.
I just want to say, well, you almost just made me cry, Stephen. But Robert, this isn't attacking you or the DEC. It's just what Stephen just said. We need to come together as a party. And like Tim said, you guys could have spent that money on a negative campaign, even though I'm never for that, against Alex Fernandez, who tons of Democrats have endorsed, which is sick. And instead of spending that money on 2 Democrats, you could have spent that money against an MPA, as I just learned the term from Tim a couple days ago, a dino. And you could have helped Stephen. And, you know, like, that's what really upsets me. And this is where I think Miami always lags in our country, is we have a displace of our party. I don't understand. I've been here 10 years. I'm from New York with politically elected officials my whole life. And instead of helping a Democrat, you hurt a Democrat. And that just is detrimental to our party and 2022. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it. I mean, obviously this is what makes us the great party, though, is that we are so passionate about what we do and the people that we support. Is there any further discussion or any other items for new business? Okay, well, we encourage everybody to go vote tomorrow. Our December meeting will be on Monday, December the 13th. Our social for the holidays will be on Sunday, December the 19th. We look forward to seeing you guys and returning in-person meetings very soon in the new year. Catch us on social. We'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody. Good night.